In 2025, the world spent $30 trillion buying oil. Almost all of it paid in one currency, not because
It's called the petrodollar, the most powerful financial system you've never been taught. And once you understand it, you'll never look at money the same way again. Here's the deal. Kev, every country on Earth, whether Japan, Germany, or India, must first get US dollars before they can even buy oil.
Before 1971, any country could walk up to America's door with dollars and say, "Give me my gold." America had been printing far more dollars than it had gold.
And then things got worse. October 1973.
The offer was simple. Sell all your oil in US dollars, invest your extra money back into US Treasury bonds, and in return, America will protect you. In 1974, Saudi Arabia agreed, and within a year, the rest of OPEC followed. One by one. Now think about what this means. If Japan wants oil, it needs dollars first. If Germany wants oil, dollars first. India, dollars.
But now Saudi Arabia had a new problem, one most people would love to have. They had more dollars coming in than they could possibly spend at home.
Right back to America. The extra dollars flowed back into US Treasury bonds, into American banks, into US financial markets. Here's the genius loop. 1. MAPE. Oil is sold in dollars, so every country needs dollars. 2. Oil exporters receive dollars. Here's the genius loop. 1. Oil is sold in dollars, so every country needs dollars. 2. Oil exporters receive dollars.
By the 1980s, the machine was in full swing. The dollar's share of global reserves climbed to over 70%.
Economists had a name for this advantage America enjoyed. They called it an exorbitant privilege, which is really just a polite way of saying America could borrow cheaply. But the most powerful weapon wasn't the dollar itself, it was sanctions. The dollar runs through global trade, banking, reserves, payments. Venezuela, sitting on the largest proven oil reserves on Earth, tried a crypto project called the Petro in 2018. The goal? Sell oil outside the dollar system. Iraq, Libya, Venezuela. Were these conflicts only about the dollar? Probably not. Each had its own mix of politics,
Then in 2022, after Russia invaded Ukraine, the United States froze nearly $300 billion of Russia's foreign reserves.
Yes, it hurt Russia. But it also scared every other country watching. If America could freeze Russia's reserves, it could freeze anyone's. China started dumping US Treasuries, reducing its holdings from a peak of over $1.3 trillion down to roughly $600 billion.
Central banks worldwide began hoarding gold at record levels, over 1,000 tons added in 2024 alone.
Russia and China pushed more of their trade into yuan and rubles, cutting out the dollar entirely. What once seemed unthinkable.
Brazil and China struck deals to settle trade directly in their own currencies, Brazilian real and Chinese yuan, bypassing the dollar completely.
India started paying for Russian oil in rupees, not dollars, rupees. The world's most populous country.
And then came the most symbolic moment of all. Saudi Arabia, the country that helped build the petrodollar system. The numbers tell the story. The dollar's share of global reserves has fallen from 72% in 2001 to under 58% today.
The Chinese yuan now accounts for roughly 2% of global reserves. Small, yes, but it was essentially zero a decade. And then there's the biggest long-term threat to the petrodollar, the end of oil dependency itself. 1 in 4.
Now, let's be clear. The petrodollar machine still runs. The dollar still dominates 88% of all foreign exchange. The petrodollar doesn't face one giant challenger. It faces 1,000 small ones. Countries settling trade in local currencies here, central banks buying gold there. De-dollarization doesn't mean the dollar collapses. It means the dollar goes from a near monopoly to simply being the most used currency among several. So what can America do? Analysts point to 3 levers. 1. Maintain military dominance so the security guarantee still has value. One major card America could play is a central bank digital currency, a digital dollar, a programmable Sanctions. The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, representing over 40% of the world's population. Some economists and politicians have called for a return to gold-backed currencies. The argument, gold can't be printed, can't be frozen, doesn't depend on any government's promise. So here's the real question. If the petrodollar system slowly fades, what replaces it? A multipolar currency world with no single dominant reserve? Let's recap the journey. 1971, gold standard ends, dollar backs nothing. 1974, petrodollar deal. Despite all the challenges, the dollar still wins for one simple reason: trust. Global trade needs a neutral intermediary that everyone accepts. The dollar benefits from what economists call a network effect. The more people use something, the more valuable it becomes for everyone to keep using it. At the heart of dollar power is the SWIFT payment system, the messaging network that connects over 11,000 banks in more than 200 countries. Knowing this vulnerability, countries are building alternatives. China has CIPS, Russia has SPFS, called Embargo. Knowing this vulnerability, countries are building alternatives. China has CIPS, Russia has SPFS, called Embargo. Here's the actual mechanics of oil pricing. Every day, oil is quoted in dollars per barrel on global markets. If you're a country that doesn't earn dollars naturally, here's one of the most underappreciated powers of the petrodollar. America can export its inflation. When the US prints money and the dollar weakens slightly.
Another hidden power of dollar dominance. When America raises interest rates, global capital floods back to the US.
For developing nations, this creates a trap. They borrow in dollars because that's the cheapest global market.
You've been interacting with the petrodollar your entire life without knowing it. Every product shipped across an ocean was transported using fuel priced in dollars.
Let's pause and lock in what we know. In 1974, America created a system where oil, the world's most needed commodity, could only be bought in dollars. Scenario 1. The dollar remains dominant. America deepens its military alliances, keeps oil markets dollar-priced, launches a competitive digital. Scenario 2. A multipolar currency world. No single currency dominates. The dollar handles most Western trade, the yuan dominates Asia, the euro covers Europe. Scenario 3. The yuan rises to replace the dollar. For this to happen, China would need to fully open its capital markets, make the yuan freely convertible. Scenario 4. A commodity-backed digital reserve asset. Think of a basket of real-world commodities. Gold, oil. Now, why should you personally care about any of this? Because if dollar dominance weakens, American borrowing costs rise. Government deficits become harder to finance. For investors, a de-dollarizing world has real implications. Historically, when dollar dominance weakens, gold prices tend to rise. The speed of the energy transition matters enormously. If EVs hit 50% of global car sales by 2030, oil demand peaks faster. Even AI and automation play a role. As manufacturing shifts toward local production, driven by robots and automation, here's another pillar of dollar dominance that rarely gets mentioned: the American consumer. The US runs massive trade deficits, meaning it imports far more than it exports. We're halfway through the story. We've covered how the petrodollar was built, why it works, how it gave America extraordinary financial powers, and the forces now challenging it. The dollar isn't the first reserve currency in history, Pites, and history says it won't be the last. The Dutch guilder dominated global trade in the 60s. The British pound was the world's reserve currency for over 200 years, backed by the British Empire, the Royal Navy, and Britain's industrial dominance. In the 1960s, economist Robert Triffin identified a fatal flaw in the system, now called the Triffin dilemma. The Dutch Republic in the 1600s was the world's financial superpower. They invented the stock exchange, pioneered global. China appears to be playing a 50-year game, not a 5-year one, building infrastructure across Asia, Africa, and Latin America through the Belt and Road Initiative, creating dollar alternatives like SIPs. China's Belt and Road Initiative has invested over $1 trillion in infrastructure across 140-plus countries.
One underrated trend in de-dollarization is the rise of commodity currencies. Countries rich in resources, Australia.
Technology is enabling financial fragmentation at a speed history has never seen before. India's UPI payment system already handles billions of transactions without touching the dollar. At the heart of every reserve currency debate is one word: trust. The dollar's power rests entirely on the world trust. The Middle East, birthplace of the petrodollar, is shifting its relationships. Saudi Arabia, UAE, and other Gulf states are.
Africa is sitting on the raw materials that the 21st century runs on. Cobalt for batteries, lithium for EVs.
What about crypto as a petrodollar replacement? In theory, a decentralized digital currency that no government controls sounds perfect. America's 800+ military bases worldwide aren't just about security. They're part of the petrodollar infrastructure. They protect shipping lanes that carry oil. America now carries over $34 trillion in national debt. The petrodollar system has historically guaranteed that foreign governments would keep buying US Treasuries. Japan is actually the largest foreign holder of US Treasuries, over $1.1 trillion. Japan's entire post-war. Europe is caught in the middle. The euro is the world's second reserve currency, but Europe depends on American security guarantees through NATO.
How fast does this change happen? Most serious economists say slowly. Reserve currency transition.
Here's something important to understand. No single country can bring down the dollar system alone. Not China, not Russia, not even a BRICS coalition in the near term. The real power shift happening right now isn't a revolution, it's an evolution. The dollar isn't being overthrown. American influence isn't collapsing.